get started?
Yeah, that's cool. Let's do it.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. This is our third speaker series, and this is Morgan Richards. He's a senior manager of research at Cox Automotive. And then just so everybody knows, the next one's going to be November 12th. And then that's going to be with Mayana. So yeah, Morgan Richards.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to try not to walk in front of the screen too much, but I will definitely do it. So if I get in your way, just let me know and I'll move over. But I'm Morgan Richards. I'm in market research, and speaking with the team here, I created 2 hours worth of market research content for us all to go over painstakingly. So we're excited. We're energized. Just kidding. Just kidding. That's a bad joke. Bad joke. But you'll have to forgive me for going back and forth to the laptop to switch the slides. But I work for Cox Automotive. I've been in market research now for just about 18 years. And I'll talk a little bit today about Cox Automotive, how we leverage market research, my background, some academic stuff there, and basically where we go from this point forward. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about, well, I should mention my claim to fame is my wife is Dr. Melanie Richards. So she is a professor in this department. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in Johnson City. That's how I got to be here. But based off of her working in the department, we started to partner with a media and communications group, really I guess last year. And I'm going to show you 3 different examples of this. The first one here is some of the classwork from the audience research and analytics course. We started with autonomous vehicles back last fall. And the teams were asked to basically, do some focus groups among college kids, Gen Z, understand what you all think about self-driving cars, and if you feel that's going to impact ownership in the future. And then last spring, was a very similar set of questions, but focused on ride-hailing, so the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world. Hal was part of that team.
We also focused on autonomous vehicles in that one as well.
That's right. And the goal was also to understand how it would impact ownership potentially in the future. So being in the automotive, come on in. So being in the automotive business, most of our revenue comes from dealerships, and anything that could impact car buying would then therefore have an impact on our business. So it's something that we're very cognizant of, and we want to track and measure as all these new technologies and mobility modes start to emerge. And then last but not least, we just kicked off this project a couple of weeks ago. It's for a new company we acquired called Clutch. It's a car subscription service. Do we have any teams here? A couple of folks? Anyone want to talk a little bit about that, what that is?
Yeah, sure. Car subscription service is basically you pay a monthly fee and you get to swap your car as many times as you want, and like your insurance, well, depending on the plan you have, but insurance and the swaps and maintenance and all that is included in like the cleaning and everything like that. So it's pretty cool. You can get kind of whatever car you want as long as it's in your plan. So.
Well done. Melanie told me to bring you a hat as a reward for that, but I didn't have any, but I'll hook you up afterwards. Yeah, so car subscription is something that's pretty new to the population. Estimates are only 5,000 consumers right now are signed up for a car subscription service. So it's definitely one of those bleeding edge services or platforms that we feel is going to grow over time. As she mentioned, the main benefit is it's one payment, and you get all of those different, insurance is part of that. It's a white glove service. So if you get in an accident, you don't have to worry about, the hassle that goes along with that. And plus, you get to flip your car. So if you're going to the mountains on the weekends, you can get a truck, then switch it back to a convertible. If you're going to the beach or drive a sedan, so there's a lot of benefits there. It's expensive right now. That's the main hiccup with it, and that's what you'll find in your research too. But like anything else, once this emerges and really gets up to speed, hopefully that price tag declines. So it's one example of our partnership. Another one is the Strategic Media Club. Last year they did their trip to Atlanta to visit various corporations. Cox Automotive was one of those. Anyone here go on that trip by chance? All right. What do you guys think of Cox Automotive? You had a good time? All right. See, I like that. We basically introduced the club to a couple of our colleagues down there. I believe one of our advertising folks gave a presentation or a talk about what we do and what that process looks like. And from what I know or heard, We're going to do that again next fall, so a year from now. So if anyone's still around and hasn't graduated, please sign up for that, and maybe we'll see you down there. And then my last example of the partnership is something I'm very proud of. Elizabeth Salisbury, I'm not sure if any of you guys remember her. She graduated a couple years ago from the program, and through her, she's a really good networker. That was her series speech last month. We got to meet her. I introduced her to a few folks in our department, and we were able to bring her on in a full-time position in Atlanta this summer. So it's really cool seeing someone that went through the program come down and work for us. So that's it for the partnership. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about market research and what I do. I was trying to think about how do I explain market research to everyone, and I'm old, so I'm on Facebook, and I remember these memes that are out there about like, this is what people do, this is what they think I do, and this is what I actually do. So I created one, and I apologize for my lack of creativity. Once again, I'm a market researcher, so forgive me. The first thing is what my mom thinks I do. And you can't really see, but it's production. She thinks I'm in advertising. And there's some reason for that, but I've explained market research to her, my dad, and I've obviously failed many, many times, but whenever she meets anybody, she tells them I'm in advertising. So she doesn't get market research, and at this point, I just stopped correcting her. The company thinks we do charts and graphs and stats. We're in the marketing department, which is like the fun department, marketing. And I think they all think that we're like the nerds of the department. But it's okay, because we do work with stats, and that's part of what we do on an ongoing basis. But it's fun. We love it. We embrace our dorkiness. And then what I think I do is like a detective. And the reason for being so, executives or internal partners or the industry will come to us with these crazy questions, and we have to figure out, how do you answer this? It's not something that's easily known, or the answer isn't easily found, so we have to figure out what methodology do we use. It's almost like a detective process to get there. So I really do kind of feel like we're a hybrid between a scientist and a detective. But what I actually do, I work remote, so I'm on the phone a lot all day, a lot of project management, talking to my team, talking to our vendors across the company, talking to my partners in Atlanta. So it's not the most glamorous thing when you're in these meetings all day, especially on the phone, but that really is a large chunk of what we do right now. Any questions on that? Is creativity okay? Okay. So I'm going to take a step back and give you, my background. I may have gone too deep in my background, but I feel like we all have our own little personal journeys, and this is part of who I am. So we'll talk about this for a few moments. But I'm from Pennsylvania originally. I went to a small state school similar to ETSU. Actually, it was smaller than ETSU. And it's located in central Pennsylvania. And that's where I went for undergrad. And when I was there, I was a biology major because I always wanted to be a chiropractor. Ever since I was like a little kid, this is like the sob story, but my mom was a nurse and she hurt her back. And I'm like, I want to help my mom. And I found out like a chiropractor fixes backs. So I'm like, I'm going to be a chiropractor. That's what I'm going to do. So to go to chiropractic school, they recommend becoming a biology major. And I took all the courses, anatomy, microbiology, organic chemistry, and so forth. And it was good. Until I got to botany class. And botany, if there's any botanists here, or your parents are botanists, I apologize, you're like plants. But for me, like that's where I had my existential crisis. Like, I can't sit here every night and look at plants through a microscope. It just wasn't for me. And then I remember one of my friends was a communications major. I'm like, I could be doing this, creating ads instead of looking at plants in a microscope. So literally the next semester I switched majors, and that was it. So I gave up my dream of being a chiropractor, and I wanted to become an advertiser, I guess you would say. And this is a true story. So I was in the program, and I remember one of our professors, it was one of those days where she rolls in the old TV with the VCR. So I'm aging myself with this analogy. But so she rolls it in, we're all excited because it's like the video day at class. Everyone gets excited about that. And she shows this video of an ad agency in New York City. I think it was like BBDO. And it's all about how they're creating this ad for shampoo. And they take the footage back to these focus groups, and they get feedback on it. The consumers hated it, and they changed the ad. And at the end of the day, everything was a success. I remember sitting there thinking to myself, that is the most boring thing in the world. Like, who the hell would ever want to do that? And then, you know, as luck would have, that's my job. That's what I do for the rest of my life. But so anyway, so that was my own experience. I graduated from Lock Haven with a degree in communications, but I wasn't quite ready to go into the professional world at that point. So I started researching different graduate programs and ended up at the University of Tennessee in their communications program with a concentration in advertising. And this is back in 2001, and my goal was graduate that December, move to New York City, get an entry-level position at an ad agency. That seemed like a pretty typical path, and kind of go from there. But my plans were changed. In September was 9/11. So obviously, you know, big shock to the nation, big impact on the job market. Kind of shocked me a little bit about moving to New York City. Honestly, there were so many unknowns. I'm like, do I really want to move to New York City right after that event happened? So I kind of packed my bags and moved back to Pennsylvania. And looking for different jobs, not a lot of advertising jobs there, I found a market research position in Philadelphia. And I thought back to my grad program. There were a couple classes I took, thought they were pretty cool, I liked them. I had the science background, mathematics, and I gave it a try. And it was awesome. And really, ever since then, I've been in market research. Never thought about a career change. Maybe it was me embracing that inner dorkiness again, but that's what I've been doing ever since. I met Melanie in grad school at Tennessee, and then she moved to Atlanta, so I joined her shortly thereafter. And we were there for around 11 years or so, and that's where I started my career at Auto Trader. And then when we started having kids, we wanted to get out of the city and moved to Johnson City 3 years ago. That's when she took her position, you know, here within the department. So that's a long and windy road. Like I said, I don't know if I shared too much overshare, but I wanted to give you my background in any case. So back on track. Cox Automotive. So I work at Cox Automotive. When I joined back in 2006, it was simply Auto Trader. And through the Great Recession, Cox Enterprises, which is our parent company, is a private company and had a lot of cash on hand. So as the recession was basically bottoming out, a lot of these other companies, Cox Enterprises went into acquisition mode. So Auto Trader acquired Kelley Blue Book. You guys all heard of Kelley Blue Book before? Some of the people have. And then just kept on acquiring different companies. And we went from Auto Trader to the Auto Trader Group to Cox Automotive over the last 12 years. And now we're, you know, a very sizable company. There's 25 different brands, automotive brands, under that Cox Automotive umbrella. Most of those do focus on the B2B side of things, really helping dealers with their daily operations through our software and technology. But our two consumer-facing brands are Auto Trader and Kelley Blue Book. We also have another one that's kind of consumer-facing called X-Time. You probably never heard of it because there's no marketing dollars behind it. But if you go get your vehicle serviced, if you have cars, there's like a little, it's basically how you would schedule your appointment at the dealership. We're big. We have 34,000 employees across the world, I should say globally, and our annual revenue is $7 billion. So according to Forbes, we're a top 50 private company. Like I said, you never heard of Cox Automotive, but we're big. We're big. The next thing I'm going to show you is a short video, if it works. It's from our president, Sandy Schwartz, and this is a video that he created to talk a little bit about the power of Cox Automotive to our clients. So just pretend you're a dealer when you're sitting there hearing this.
Cox Automotive was born from an idea to connect pillars of our industry into one unified game changer. With each brand connected and now able to peer into the next, we discovered opportunities we never could have predicted. We are poised to deliver a holistic approach to help drive results for our clients. Cox Automotive has the broadest, deepest, most complete view of the entire automotive ecosystem. Our amazing group of products and services amplifies our clients' efficiency and profitability. From inventory and marketing to sales and service, through each stage of a car's life, Cox Automotive is connected to the process and committed to your success. Our incredible teams have come together around our grand vision to transform the way the world buys, sells, and owns cars. And this all comes together to empower you to thrive in this rapidly changing automotive marketplace.
Oh, don't want to do that. Sorry. So as Sandy said in the video, really the vision for Cox Auto is to transform the way that people buy, sell, and own cars. And we're able to do that based off of these 25 different brands that we own that basically touch a car throughout its entire life cycle, except for manufacturing. We're not the Toyotas or the Fords of the world. We're not actually producing the car, but we're involved at every other piece. Rusty, what's up, buddy? So let me keep going with that. Rusty's entrance threw me off.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So how do you all interface with the OEMs, the Fords and the Chevys, and you in the manufacturing process? You just don't, or it's after the car is owned?
We interact with them as they are our clients, but just not as big of a client as our dealerships. So, for example, Kelley Blue Book, they sell display ads on their website. Auto Trader, I'll put it this way, Auto Trader's revenue comes from subscriptions. If you think about like the old classified newspapers, we sell space on Auto Trader that dealers list their cars. For Kelley Blue Book, since it's more of a research site, we sell display ads. So for Kelley Blue Book, most of their revenue does come from the OEMs of the world, whereas Auto Trader is more dealership focused. And then for the other brands, there's co-ops, and it's really complicated, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but some OEMs will dictate or mandate how their franchise dealerships market their cars, service their cars, those types of things, and they'll make their dealerships use specific software and technology. So for us, we have partnerships on, for some of the OEMs, but not all of them.
Okay.
Is that a very convoluted answer?
Good.
All right. All right. So that's that. So how does market research fit into all of this? When it comes to the industry, a big part of what we do is measure and explore what's happening. Specifically when it comes to consumers buying cars, we want to understand, what does that process look like? What are your pain points? What are your needs? What's working awesomely? Where is there some opportunity? And we use that information in a couple of different ways. Some of it's for product development. So if there's a need or a barrier, we work with our product development team to basically create new solutions to fix those issues. We use the information for marketing and targeting from the consumer side. But we also use that information to help consult our dealers and educate the industry on what we found. Has anyone here bought a car before? People have bought cars? Was it an awesome process or maybe not so awesome process? Okay. It's negative. And that's typically what we hear. There was a study that a consultant did a couple of years ago where they basically compared buying a car to going to the dentist. So there's that type of perception that when you go into a dealership that it's not always that enjoyable. And I will say that it's not always the case. There are some examples. I feel like over my tenure at Auto Trader Cox Auto, it's improved. I feel like dealers are definitely more focused on that customer experience than it used to be, but we're not there quite yet. And one of the studies that we conducted a few years ago, we surveyed 4,000 car buyers and asked them about their process, and less than 1% said that the process they went through was something that was ideal to them, that would be their preferred experience. So only 17 out of 4,000 car buyers said that. Now, that's a big gap when you think about customer satisfaction and pleasing your clients. So what we wanted to do is delve into that a little bit further to figure out what's driving that dissatisfaction. And price, negotiating with dealers is obviously your number one factor. But we also found out that the time you spend in a dealership has a large role. On average, a consumer spends 3 hours at a dealership today to buy a car. And if you have no credit or bad credit, it could be up to 6 hours. So that's a big pain point that we're trying to help the industry solve. And you can do that in two different ways. Either the dealership has to make changes with their operations to help decrease that time you're spending there. That's a huge lift, and it's hard to do that on a mass scale. So the other technique is bringing some of those components online, allowing consumers to do it from their home or at work versus sitting at a dealership all day. So we know, the Amazons of the world, especially in retail, e-commerce is alive and strong. When it comes to car buying, a car is the second largest purchase for any household next to buying a house. And consumers aren't quite there yet in terms of I want to do this entire process online. But what we wanted to do was create a beta site. You guys all familiar with like pilot tests and betas? So this was a beta site that we launched back in 2015 that was essentially the Amazon of car buying. It's called Make My Deal. There was no marketing support behind it, and we didn't really link it up with Auto Trader. We wanted to just see how it worked, get some learnings from it, and kind of go from there. But like I said, it was successful in that it gave us some learnings, but it never really took off based off of where we were from an organizational standpoint. However, that all changed back in 2017. As a company, we decided that this is the time to start introducing digital retailing. We're calling it digital retailing, which is e-commerce. So you'll hear me use that term today. But introduce digital retailing to the automotive industry. And what we did is one of our executives went to one of the big industry conferences and basically said to the industry and our clients, if we don't get on board now, you risk being left behind. The industry risks being left behind. And for us, like I said, dealers are our biggest client. If they get left behind, we're in trouble as well. So we want to make sure we're all working together towards that goal. So with that said, what we wanted to do was start investing dollars in product development, and we created a new product that's not Make My Deal, because we knew that consumers didn't want to complete the entire process online, at least not today. And to do so, we wanted to do research to understand the environment a little bit better, to help educate dealers and inform the industry overall. So here's another study we did last summer, where we surveyed 2,500 consumers with the goal of understanding their propensity to do these steps online, how interested would they be, and so forth. It's a weird transition, sorry for that. But what we found is there are 4 different areas of the car buying process, and these all have various steps. But the first one is more of your researching, and then financing, negotiating, and the final one is basically signing the papers at the dealership and riding off into the sunset. And these percentages you're seeing here is percentage of consumers that want to complete that activity online versus in person. So research makes sense, right? 7 out of 10 consumers want to do that at home. They don't want to sit at the dealership all day, walk all these different lots, see what the cars look like. But the least one is completing the entire transaction. Only 11% of consumers at the time wanted to buy a car completely online, never stepped foot in a dealership. And the actual number for that, so this is what they would like to do. Today, around 5% of cars are being bought completely online. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I'll ask you guys a trivia question. So for 11%, what generation do you think is more interested in buying a car online? Gen Z or Gen X? So that's exactly what you'd think. Gen Z, digital natives, born with technology. But what we found is, since Gen Z hasn't really gone through the car buying process all that often, if at all, that they're not comfortable doing that for the first time online. So Gen X, surprisingly, old guys like me, were more likely to want to buy a car online. Are any of you guys looking at like public relations as a career or anything like that? A couple of people. So for this, what we did with this research is we worked with our PR team. We call them industry relations because it's more of the B2B side of it, on activating the research. And what they did is they orchestrated a big media event at the Detroit Auto Show. Detroit's like the capital of automotive in the US, so this was a big deal for us. They invited all their media friends and colleagues, had everyone come down to it. And the executives basically presented our research to all these reporters. So it's cool, being a researcher, you're seeing our research being utilized from a company perspective. But then to see what happened next was really exciting for us. So it worked, it was a success. The reporters took the information, they started writing their stories and blogs based off of what we presented in the research. But it also served our goal of creating that buzz in the marketplace about digital retailing, that this was coming on the pipeline. And like I said, this research here was more market focused versus promoting our product. So it was really successful because it came across as unbiased and objective. The next piece I want to talk about how we supported this product launch is more traditional market research. You'll probably be a little bit more familiar with some of these techniques. The first piece was we did product naming focus groups. What do you call this new solution? You just call it Auto Trader, or do you brand it something completely different? Or is it a product within Auto Trader? And we found out that it should live on the Auto Trader site, and took some other takeaways as well. And then we tested various logos. The creative team, they go crazy. They have all these different logos. They want to understand what makes the most sense, what do consumers like, what attracts their eye, and so forth. So based off of those two components of research, we named it Accelerate, and you see the little speed odometer there, so you're sticking with the automotive theme. And this is the product that we're launching. Next, this is getting into the creative development process, working closely with our ad agency, Zambezi, out of Los Angeles. First, we did message testing, and I'm not going to say all companies go through this process, but what we typically do is we work with the agency on doing exploratory research, trying to figure out what the benefits are, what's going to motivate consumers, what's going to resonate, and then taking that information and handing it over to the creatives, and they go into their creative process and go from there. So we did message testing, and we had a laundry list of different potential benefits this tool could provide the consumers. This is real data, but basically 3 main components. What really attracted consumers was the ability to customize your deal online, fill out all the paperwork online, and then complete financing as well. So like I said, we didn't tell Zambezi this is how you have to do it by any means, but these are the 3 main messaging points that if you want this ad to be impactful, you really need to hit home. So Zambezi took this information, they went through their creative process, and came out with 3 different concepts that we felt really kind of positioned Accelerate. The first one was a little bit more metaphorical, where the dealership was in your mobile phone. The second one was a little bit more of a direct benefit. And last, this was like our fantasy one with the fairy tales. This one bombed. This one did not do well. But this one overall was the winner. We did get some other learnings, like they wanted to make sure that consumers didn't think this was just like an online calculator. That's a real tool that you can complete the transaction. So then what happened next was Zambezi created the spot. So this is just a rough cut. We're still going through some testing, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So this may change once you see it go live. Our final ad is scheduled to launch this Sunday, October 28th. So it's exciting stuff for us. But this is a rough cut. What you see on TV may change a little bit from here, but I'll show it to you guys.
Now you can buy faster and accelerate your deal on Auto Trader by putting car buying in the palm of your hand. Start your paperwork online. Choose from actual financing options and receive a real Kelley Blue Book trade-in offer to get a no-surprise monthly payment based on your information. Save time at the dealership when you start your deal online. Auto Trader. Buy faster.
What do you guys think? Okay, you guys like it? So I want to go back to that messaging research really quick, if I'm able to go back. Just to kind of hit it home that there's these 3 points: customizing your deal online, filling out the paperwork, and customizing your financing. And I'm going to play the ad one more time. So just keep it, an ear out and an eye out for those 3 components, and you'll really see once again how Zambezi leveraged these findings as part of that TV spot.
Now you can buy faster and accelerate your deal on Auto Trader by putting car buying in the palm of your hand. Start your paperwork online. Choose from actual financing options and receive a real Kelley Blue Book trade-in offer to get a no-surprise monthly payment based on your information. Save time at the dealership when you start your deal online. Auto Trader. Buy faster.
Everyone kind of see and hear those components? So it's pretty cool. Like I said, just as a researcher, seeing how our results and information is being used is what motivates us, is what keeps us going. Do you have a question back there? Oh, no. Okay. The next piece of the process, we love doing research. It keeps us employed. This is the testing that we do on a finished film spot to see how it performs. And we partner with a company called Ace Metrics. And that's a syndicated research company that basically anyone has, you can pay for any of their data. And what they do is once a TV spot launches live nationally, they automatically assess it with 500 consumers. And then what they do is they take all these spots, tens of thousands, and create an average across these metrics here. And then we send them our TV spot and try to understand, how does our spot perform versus the average? And we have real data here, but since this is still pretty sensitive, I don't want to share it. But the green boxes here are the areas or metrics where this new TV spot significantly outperformed the average. And you're seeing a lot of green there. So we feel like from a testing perspective, we're on point with the message and the creative. I will say that we've tested many spots, and we've seen many red boxes as well. So it really does work both ways. So with all that said, the outcome of all this. As I said, we launched this product this summer with the B2B side of things. We have over 3,000 of our dealers already using it, which is a success, which means over 500,000 vehicles that are listed on AutoTrader you can buy online using Accelerate, or at least go through whatever part of the process you want using the Accelerate tool. So seeing strong penetration already. The other thing I want to mention is we have a strong sales force across the U.S., and one of our sales consultants lives in Kingsport. So I had lunch with her a couple of weeks ago and just talked about how does she utilize market research and what does she think, and she was, maybe because I was there or what have you, but she is very, very thankful for the research that we produce. She uses it as part of her daily meetings with our clients, I should say. And it just brings another unbiased or objective source to those conversations to help the dealers feel that they're making the right decision, which is obviously very impactful. Yeah.
Does Accelerate work online as well as in mobile? Only asked because we got a car last weekend and we used AutoTrader and I didn't see it as an option.
Got it. It does. It does. It works on all of our digital properties. There's some dealerships that we partner with where they'll have Accelerate, but they're branding it their own dealership. So it may have some different verbiage in there, but it's still the Accelerate software driving it. But yeah, you can use it on any digital property. There's a chance that since it's still pretty new and we haven't even launched a consumer campaign, that car, thank you for using AutoTrader, didn't have the Accelerate tool associated with it quite yet. And the last slide I have here is just once again that we're launching our spot on Sunday. So pretty cool. So Energize, this is my last slide. So I saw this was the Energize series. I'm in market research. How am I going to energize this audience about this topic? And I started racking my brain, and I remember Oprah Winfrey. You get a car, you get a car. I'm I'm in automotive. I can do this. So everybody here gets not one but 3 cars. I'm serious, but they're Matchbox cars though. They're small. They're small. So we have the goodie bags here, but you all get something. So hopefully that energizes the crowd, and that's it. That's all I have. If we want to do some questions.